or other gods exist.
Okay,
Because
and
if
that's
they
another
don't
discussion.
exist, how can they be an abomination?
That's another topic. You don't
No,
you
that's
don't
my
realize.
question. That's not
Okay,
another
so
topic. That's my question.
The
okay, so
answer to that question would be that they exist in the minds of men doesn't make them real. That would be the actual answer.
They don't exist only in the minds of men. They're mentioned in the Ten Commandments. What's the first commandment? Jesus is Lord.
why don't we get closure on your first
Please
Bible?
answer his question. Just answer the simple question. It's one sentence.
I
and then
asked
you.
you.
Can say
I
your
asked
bit.
you a simple question.
Yeah, I know because you don't want to get closure on your first Bible blunt.
No,
Just answer
you
the simple
are
question.
trying.
You've now
You are
spent.
trying to deflect from the
No,
fact
you're
that
deflecting
there are.
from our original discussion, our
Someone
conversation
mute
that
this
we're
man.
having.
He's not answering one
No,
sentence.
we're
One
still.
sentence.
We're still talking about Asherah, who was one of the other gods,
Okay, let's go back to
which you acknowledged exist by saying that they are an abomination. I want to point out the fact that your God acknowledges them as well.
Okay. Well, perhaps
Do you disagree?
perhaps in your documentary there will be an answer to my question, a question about this literature you brought up. And
Yes, that's why I left the
and
link.
then you moved the goalpost to talking about gods in general. But yeah, the
No,
Bible speaks
that's
about
why
that.
I left you the link.
Okay. All right. The
I
Bible,
told you I don't have these verses at hand right now.
yeah.
So
Well, you just admitted it wasn't in the Torah, so and rightfully so. But as far as there being other gods, yes, the Bible does speak about other gods. These are actually
Not the gods that God gave you to worship, though. That's the important
right,
thing.
these are
That's why you're not
demonic
supposed to
spirits.
worship them.
They're
They're not
demonic
true
spirits.
gods. They're the little g God. Little g, not
if
big G.
they're
that make
okay,
them any
so
less
if they're
relevant?
not true gods, why are they mentioned as being true gods in the Ten
Because that's what they
Commandments?
call themselves.
Because it was love your God.
It's not what they called themselves. It's what
Before
the
all
God
others.
of the Bible called them.
Well, no,
Isn't that?
we were talking about the first commandment. And
Yeah.
love your God before all others. Yeah, okay, that's all other gods, but I think that was saying that the other gods are false.
It doesn't
Exactly,
say
yeah.
that it doesn't say that in the commandment.
Well, no, but it's
So implication
very
and
obvious.
interpretation.
Yes, that's interpretation. And if God's word is infallible, it shouldn't be up for interpretation, should it?
No, but Moses had just come down from the mountain, and they were, building false gods. So that's why he said that.
That's because you dropped the first set and it took so goddamn long to get the second set made and walk back down the
This-
mountain again. Like a
This
Yeah.
is starting to sound like ganging up on Peter, guys.
Oh, Peter is fine with that.
No, I love Peter's hat.
Peter-
I'm never going up against
I'm
him.
just passing
Peter's
information
really
of what
fine.
I think. That's all I'm doing.
Thank you,
Peter
Richard.
can hold himself if he gets ganged up
But
on.
It could be
that's
one
no
at a
problem.
time, though.
Yeah, I noticed Jesus is Lord doesn't want to read out the first commandment, and that's fine.
Thou shalt have no other gods before me.
Well, then,
Did you
Which
know
gods
Read it in
are
Hebrew.
which gods would that be? Jesus is Lord.
Your wife can be a god.
can we use Richard as a moderator?
That
Can-
would be pretty difficult since I don't
Your-
have a wife.
Your car
but
can be a god.
I don't think so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Bible does.
Can we bump?
All praise the MathPig.
Can we bump Richard up
What's
here? No.
Jesus
I'm-
is Lord. Can I ask you your definition of a god?
Anything that you put before the true and living God becomes a god, according to Scripture. Anything you desire
I'd
more
like
than
to.
the
I'd
living-
like to. You didn't understand my question, did you?
No,
What
I
is
did.
your definition? What is your definition of
I
a
just
god?
gave you. My definition is biblical. The only definition I have for you comes from Scripture. A god is anything you desire more than God,
Scripture reference,
the
please.
true and living God.
Scripture reference, please.
See,
Thou shalt have no other God before me. That's the first commandment. Thou
You
shalt
see
have
what
no
your
other God before me.
Well, that's
Jesus
what I
is
said.
Lord. Your problem with your definition of God is that you have the God in the definition. That doesn't work.
Yeah,
I didn't
defined
give
in
you the
existence.
definition of. I gave you the definition of a God, not of God. A God
So
can be
God is
anything.
not. God is not. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Let me clarify this. God is not a God.
A God can be anything that you desire more than the God. It becomes what the Bible calls an idol. IDOL, an idol.
Yeah,
So
that's
your
what I
wife can
said.
be an
So
idol.
the God of the Bible is not a God.
No, no, I'm not defining the God of the Bible, our creator. I'm defining those things that we place or we put in the place of God when we reject him.
This is
Cars, money.
exactly how you're not answering the question.
Yeah,
How so?
I asked you the question.
Uh-huh.
Define what a God is to
I
you,
just did. I just
not
did.
to someone else.
Yeah, but that was wrong. I mean, I love my dog, but I never call him a
I
god.
adopt the biblical definition.
Yeah, what's
Yeah,
the biblical
yeah, but
definition of a God?
your
I
Tell me.
just told
biblical
you.
definition is wrong.
I just told you. Anything
So
that
the
you place.
biblical the wait a minute. The
Yeah.
biblical definition is that a God is something that the God of the Bible isn't.
If you're placing it before him or you
So that makes
desire
the
it.
God of the Bible not a God.
No, I
That's
don't
kind of
follow that
cool.
logic.
That's kind of cool.
Oh, come on, let's go back to the Romans.
I don't follow that logic, but okay.
It's
So
I
you,
asked you a
so people,
definition.
I
I
just gave
asked
you one.
you the definition of a God.
Could I take a
If
shot
you
at that?
worship, if you worship a God,
Uh,
that God
I don't worship
should
a God.
fall.
I worship the God.
That God should fall in that definition.
No, he
And
doesn't.
in
Our
your
God,
definition, your God is excluded from that
it
definition.
is. He is.
Therefore,
Right. Amen.
your God Yahweh is not a God according to your definition.
He's not a God. No,
The
No,
God.
Okay,
he's
this
the God.
guys, this
he
guys,
can't be the
gentlemen,
God if he's not a
Only
God.
All right, all right, all right. Let
gentlemen,
Richard
this
speak.
is an impasse that isn't going to go anywhere unless we clarify something. If I could steel man both your positions for clarity, although it'd be better if you did it yourselves, I'll try to do it for you.
No, go ahead, Richard. Go ahead.
Okay. So Jill, it appears that you are saying, the definition of a God is anything but Yahweh which a person holds highest. See,
Right.
you're actually identifying an idol.
Exactly.
Okay, but what Peter is asking of you is to define God itself, not false gods.
Okay, so the God of the Bible, who is the only true and living God,
According
thereby
to you.
the rest of them are all false,
According to you.
according to Scripture,
To you.
is the one who created everything from nothing. He's self-existent. He is all-knowing. He's all-powerful. He's all-loving, and he's the one who spoke the universe into existence. He created and he sustains and preserves all things. He's transcendent. He's wholly independent of, removed from the material universe, and he is also immanent, which means he's involved with his creation.
In
He
nomine
loves us. God is
Patri,
love.
Filii, et Spiritus Sancti.
oh, Rory, come on.
So-
that just is-
If you're worshiping anything other than that God, the God, you are practicing what the Bible calls idol worship, and even your internet can become
Okay.
the internet can become
Okay.
an idol or God.
Okay, just to clarify, let me repeat to you what you just said. I asked you for the definition of a God. Instead, you gave me the definition of an idol.
No, they're both.
Is that correct?
An idol is a false God.
Mhm.
Always has
God
been.
can be
Always.
an idol?
Did I ask you for the definition of a false God?
Well, a God. As soon as you put that indefinite article in front of God, it's no longer God.
So you're
It's no
trying to
longer
Yeah,
the living
define
God.
your God into existence and make it separate from every other God, and only under your definition of your God is yours true, and every other definition is wrong because they are
Yeah.
idols.
No,
I'll
no, because we can empirically demonstrate that the other God concepts are wrong.
let me
You just
Jesus
pick
is
one.
Lord. Let me make an analogy. If I ask you the definition of what is a car, and you drive a Honda, and you tell me that a car is anything you worship beyond a Honda, by that definition, a Honda is no longer a car.
Well, because you're assuming that because you're using the word God.
I'm assuming nothing. I'm asking a question.
Okay. In your question, there is an underlying assumption that God, all gods are created equal, quote unquote, created. The God of the Bible has never been created. That's the difference between him and
How
the
do you know
God
that?
that you worship. That's
How
according
do
to
you know?
Scripture.
Jill,
How do you
could
know
you
that?
just do one thing for me that I think will solve this problem? Could you tell me the differences between your definition of God with a big G and a God? What's the
A
difference?
God can range from anything that you desire above the Creator, from your car to your best friend to your even your YouTube channel
I think you
can
mean
be a god,
below the
uh,
creator.
to an actual false deity or false idol like
So
the worship
can
of
we just
statues and
confirm
birds.
that by your definition, a God is completely separate by definition of God? You're splitting the
Yeah,
two of them.
a god. Yeah, according to Scripture, a god could be any created thing.
So yes, you're fucking
Yeah,
defining it into existence by what you're saying and ignoring everything else. And Peter's putting them all in
but
one
but
group, and you're trying to snippet yours out into one group by using specific words to define them into existence, and that doesn't work. You can't say words and make things exist.
Well, no, we don't. That's not my evidence that he exists by me saying. I'm just giving you the concept. I
Yeah.
could demonstrate
yeah.
the concept.
Well, okay then.
True,
So
if
how would
you'd
you
like, but
define,
that's another discussion.
So
how would you
according to
Hold up.
you,
We're getting
Jesus,
overlapping. Let Roy go.
Jesus is
Sorry.
Lord. According to you, everything in
Wait,
existence
Peter.
qualifies
Peter.
as a god, depending
It can,
on
yeah.
someone's
Peter. Hold
opinion.
up. Hold up. I said let Roy go first because he chimed in first after the first response. So I wanted Roy to actually go first. Sorry about that. Do a little modding.
No
Go ahead,
problem.
Roy.
thank you, thank you. No, I was just going to ask, how do you find B God? If there's A God, or is it B God or a C God? What's that all about?
I'm sorry, I'm not following. What you
No,
want
The
me
oh,
to?
you're
fact that
not
you're
following?
mentioning
Well,
multiple
you
gods,
just
he's
said
asking
there's
me
a
the
God,
hierarchy.
and then there's a God. So what
Uh-huh.
about B God and C God?
How do I make those distinctions?
Yeah,
Well, from the God of the Bible is the God, the Creator. He's revealed himself in both science and history.
He
And
did
yeah, and he's made
in science.
everything and he sustains everything. The other gods are people's superstitions that Satan is happy to take you up on. If you want to
Now,
worship
now I'm
a rock, Satan will be happy to take that position of the rock just to receive worship. The Bible story tells us that he might have been jealous of the worship that God was getting, and that's why
I'm
he fell.
curious. I'm curious.
Yeah.
Jesus is Lord. Where did God reveal Himself in science?
Well, God. Well,
Well,
science.
there's.
What do you mean by reveal himself
I
in
I could
science?
say
I'm
there's
I'm I'm
several. Go ahead, Peter.
I'm curious. I'm curious. I'm curious because you could be up for the Nobel Prize. I want to know where God. You just said God revealed Himself in science. I
Yeah.
want to know where.
Oh, never mind.
Well, what I mean by that is I don't mean that he can be empirically exhausted by science. That would mean he was just a god if we were able to do that.
You
So
made the claim. I didn't.
yeah, what I mean by the Bible is historical and evidential. So God has revealed Himself.
The
In
Bible is
our, yeah.
historically wrong. The Bible is
All
evidentially
right. Well, you
wrong.
could show me one. and I'll disprove it, and then you can show me another, and I'll disprove that, and we can play that game. But science,
No, it's not a game.
yeah,
we,
archaeological
it's not a game. Things like the flood have been disproven.
Well, you
There's
have to
no
tell me.
way. There's no way Noah's flood ever happened.
Sure,
It's fiction.
sure. Did Katrina?
There's no way Adam and Eve
Hold
were
on,
real.
hold on, before you get
That's
out.
fiction.
Hold on. Don't
Richard,
get
that
out.
reminds me. I gotta have a conversation with you about that flood thing because I read something earlier that I think you might find interesting, and I wanted to pick your brain about it later. But I gotta find the verse again. All right, sorry about that, guys.
We
Go
can do
ahead.
that later, anytime.
Yeah, go ahead.
MathPig,
What is it about the flood that you do not believe is true?
MathPig, could I throw in a little joke here?
If
It's
if
not
the
my
flood
turn, Roy,
happened,
just to be sure.
Well, no, it's relevant. It's relevant.
I don't think
Go
it's
ahead.
relevant.
if the wait a minute. Let me answer his question first.
Well, hold on a minute. No, it's just a quick
Rory,
joke.
Hold on.
Rory, it's not your channel,
Rory,
man. You
wait,
asked
wait,
me,
wait,
I
I was
said
gonna say,
no,
look.
and Tog said no
Okay.
as well.
Yeah.
I was asked a question. I'd like to answer the
Yeah.
question.
Go ahead, Peter.
Peter.
Go ahead. You have the floor.
So, if the flood happens, we should find evidence of a worldwide flood.
Okay,
We
let me
should
stop
find.
you there.
I wasn't finished.
You're straw manning the
I'm-
Bible.
Would you
Let him
do-
finish his statement,
I'm
Joe.
not. I'm.
Okay.
How am I strawmanning the
Go ahead.
Bible? If the
Finish.
if the Bible talks about a worldwide flood
But it doesn't.
that
Finish your
killed
channel.
everything on Earth, except for 8 people and 2 of every animal and 7 of the clean animals.
The Bible doesn't speak of a worldwide flood in that sense.
It doesn't.
No.
So Noah wasn't told. Well, Noah wasn't told to repopulate the Earth.
Peter, there are two classes of thought about this, that it was a local flood and that it was a worldwide flood. Jill obviously assigns value to the local flood.
Okay, so what you're saying is that it was a local flood.
No, I'm not saying that.
I actually agree with you because
I'm
we
not
have the
saying that
Egyptian timeline and the flood didn't reach Egypt, so because their timeline is continuous.
MathPig, could you give me a 20 seconds?
I don't
Go
think
ahead,
the joke's
Roy.
relevant. But go on.
Okay.
Go ahead.
All right. Here's my joke. All right. An elephant gets off Noah's Ark, turns around to his partner and says, "That was a disappointing cruise. It rained every day."
It's also a very disappointing joke.
All right. Well,
I'm sorry. Like,
that was funny. All right. The biblical.
I'd say the elephant came off Noah's Ark and said, "What the hell am I going to eat? There's nothing to eat."
Yeah. Well, there was always
Well,
grass.
yeah, there was grass.
Yeah.
I was gonna say he didn't get off the ark till there was grass.
You put grass underwater for a year and see how many grass you got left after a year.
Well,
Not a lot.
let me just say this about the Bible. Of course, there are old Earth, young Earth, global flood, local flood, Pangea flood.
Okay, let me ask you a question.
Well, let me just say that the biblical
Adam and Eve, were they real?
before we get to Adam and Eve regarding the flood, the Bible is not designed to communicate whether the flood was global in respects to the entire Earth. Or
Okay,
global.
I'll accept your position.
Never.
I'll accept.
intended that
I'll
to
accept.
be-
I'll accept your position. It seems that we're in agreement that the flood wasn't global.
No, that's not what I'm. That's not.
Because there's actually evidence for a
Who is
partial flood in that region about
Yeah.
that time.
Do you have
Sir,
to
I
be so
don't think-
disrespectful?
You may believe that scientifically. You might be able to prove that. Ken Ham believes that he could prove, or Ken Holman believes he can prove the global.
Yeah, but I'm talking to you.
Scientifically.
I want to know what you think. Not what Ken Ham thinks or Kent Hovind. I talked to Kent Hovind. And I talked to the member of AIG, so I already know what they think.
I believe what the Bible says. The Bible doesn't tell you. So I don't scream
Okay.
that the Bible is silent.
Okay, now I'm curious. Adam and Eve, did they ever exist?
Of course they existed.
So how come our DNA doesn't show a bottleneck that
Uh,
goes back to two people? How come our DNA shows that the human population never dipped below 10,000?
I don't know how that was demonstrated through DNA.
It can be demonstrated because the cheetahs faced extinction in a time that we know about, and they were down to I think less than 100, and we can actually show that in their DNA. That you can find the bottleneck in the DNA. We do not find such a bottleneck in the human population.
What's wonderful.
It's actually worse than that if you think about it, because Cain went to another town and got married to someone who was apparently not his sister.
Yeah, that's another problem.
It is a problem in the standard Christian view.
Another thing which I
Yeah.
think is wonderful about DNA is they can actually
Yeah,
tell.
but
in around
there's an issue about DNA because DNA reduces over time. So the further you go back, the harder it is to find.
DNA reduces over time.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. I was just
What do
reading
you
about
mean by reduces?
I think he means
Well,
degrades.
it declines over
Degrades.
time.
It's actually it actually does the opposite.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Yes,
No.
yes, it does.
No, if you dig up a bone, I mean, we had a cheddar man in England, all right? And yeah, they got a little bit of DNA, but you can't dig up a bone and say, all right, this is his DNA, so therefore you're descended from him.
We have sequenced Neanderthal DNA, right?
But it's not accurate.
It is accurate to the fact that we can tell which people that currently roam the earth have Neanderthal DNA, because humans and Neanderthals interbred.
But
For instance, people from
Oh, right.
Africa do not have Neanderthal DNA because they didn't travel to far enough north to be able to interbreed with Neanderthals. So even black Africans in the United States do not have Neanderthal DNA.
Well, unless they interbreed.
And we recently
Latin
found
America talk.
just a tiny piece of the Denisovans. I forget how to pronounce that, which is the fourth human race that we're aware of.
Did you just say
And we
Denisovans?
also know that humans interbred with those.
The Denisovans, the Denisovans?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're the Indonesian Neanderthal. If you go to Indonesia, you will find people with roughly the similar amount of percentage of that in their DNA as in the Europeans, as you have with Neanderthal, because that
Yeah.
was where they locally bred. As I discussed on stream earlier, there was a group of people somewhere in one of the Philippines islands who developed a natural immunity to malaria, and the hominids moved in. They had sex with them, stole their DNA, outbred them, and now this very small village in one of these places is allergic to malaria and takes it like a bee sting and just swipes it off because of this local hominid. We do interbreed. It was like that. It's like we breed dogs.
And even without that, in Africa, we now have a small population of people who are resistant to HIV.
Yep. Saying that.
Which would also mean that DNA doesn't decline. There's new information added.
Yeah, well, I think what the point what Rory was trying to make is if you have a person or a body or an animal that dies 1,000,000 years ago, DNA will degrade and you can't read it from them.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's what Rory was trying to put across.
yes, thank you, MathPig. That was my point.
But
you have to be very careful about digging up bones and saying, oh, okay, you're descended from this man. It doesn't
Yes,
work.
but you see, that's the thing, Rory. Just if I can point out, right? You're exactly correct in what you're saying. So I'm going to really simplify it. If you have a DNA chain that has 1,000,000 sequences on it and only 50 have survived, if you can then look in the human DNA chain that is now the hominid, what we are now, and find that 50, then we know that we have a descent, have a relationship with them. We don't need to find the entire thing, but the way the genetics work is I'll find 1% in you and 1% in Peter and 6% in Togs. He's a bit more Neanderthal than the rest of us. And you know, we go through it and we add it all up, and over time from different people we have got the 100% genome. It's not that we went to one person and went, whoa, all of it's there. We've got like 0.5% from this guy, 6% from this guy, 2% from that guy, and over time we've made the entire chain.
It's true. The Neanderthal all had neck beards.
But you get
Okay, I'm going to shave for the show tomorrow because otherwise I'm going to be a Neanderthal.
Peter, good luck, and thank you very much for calling in. I look forward to our interview, and yeah, thank you very much, man, for what you've done for me.
No worries.
Peter, if I could, you seem very practiced at speaking against the Christian doctrinal view. If you ever wanted to hear something that was very different and actually makes sense in reality, I would love to have a talk with you.
Well, I'll be more than happy to have you on our channel.
I'd love to do that. If MathPig would give you my email address at you all's leisure, I'd greatly appreciate the chance.
Any of my videos, any of the videos that me and Richard are doing on the Enoch series has every single link. His YouTube channel, his Twitter, his email, every one of them. If you look for the history of a Book of Enoch, you'll get all his links.
Okay. So are you dropping off, MathPig?
Me? No.
Oh, okay. I misunderstood.
Everybody went quiet after I said something. I may have come to crack. One thing that did happen is Jill in the top corner, he unmuted, so I think he has something to say. So possibly we'll give him a chance.
Yeah. So I'm still curious how he would say that science has done anything for Adam and Eve, where it completely destroyed the fact that they ever were the only two people on Earth. I'd love to hear that.
Well, I don't think science can actually breach into that category.
It has.
Adam and Eve, because Adam and Eve were not. We are descendants of Adam and Eve after the fall. Adam and Eve were special creations. I believe Adam and Eve had the DNA of every human being in their code.
And Adam and Eve evolved from a common ancestor that we have with the apes.
No, Adam and Eve were the first specially created humans on Earth. The first female and the first male.
And so we all descend from the people from the land of Nod. That's what you're saying.
Wherever the garden was. Well, after they were banished from the garden, so they had children, I believe. So
yeah, they interbred with the rest of the humans.
What do you mean they interbred? What humans?
Adam and Eve had two sons, correct?
No, they had
Three,
more
technically.
sons.
Well, the Bible
three, yeah.
the Bible talks about two sons, correct?
It talks about three, actually, but you're just talking about Cain and Abel. Go ahead.
Cain and Abel.
Yeah, Cain and Abel weren't their only children.
Okay, what happened to Cain and Abel?
The story is that Cain killed his brother.
Cain killed his brother, and
Slayed.
where did Cain go after he killed his brother?
To the land of Nod,
Yeah, where he met his wife.
where he took a wife and prospered and built a city and
Yeah.
named it.
So the descendants of Adam and Eve interbred with the humans that evolved from the common ancestor with the great apes. Is that
I don't.
how
No,
you think it happened?
no, I don't hold to.
Also, God created Adam and Eve, and He created an entire land of Nod with filled with people, so Cain could get a wife there.
No, Cain would have most likely married a niece or a sister.
No, he married his wife, which he found in the land of Nod.
That's
Right.
right.
Yeah.
That's
How long,
what that's what
how long
the,
did
that's
Adam
what
and
the Bible says.
right?
The
So
Bible
you're
doesn't
assuming
say that his sister founded the land of Nod and all of the people there, and then later on married Cain. That's not anywhere in the Bible.
right. It doesn't have to say that he married his sister or his
It
niece.
doesn't have to say that. It
Yeah.
doesn't say
It doesn't.
that.
It doesn't say that he married any
Hey,
pre.
Jill, would you concede that if Adam and Eve were first by 3 seconds, they were first? Would you concede that?
They were first, and then they were fruitful and
That's
multiplied.
No,
great.
no,
Would
no,
you
he didn't
concede if
answer
they
that.
were first by 3 seconds that they were first?
I don't. I don't. Yeah, of course.
Okay, then God could have also, right after that, done it again somewhere else. They were still first.
Sure, you could speculate, but
Just saying, it's plausible.
I
I'm
don't
only saying it's
spring.
plausible.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you could speculate that that might have been the case, but I don't. Again, I
Well,
don't spring
see,
from that.
my problem is still that the fact that we are apes and we evolved from a common ancestor
Well, you
with
believe that.
that we have with the great apes.
You
So
can
if
believe that.
Adam and Eve were specially created, at some point they must have interbred with the rest of humanity.
Yeah, where'd everybody else come from?
Adam and Eve. Everyone came from Adam and Eve.
Yeah, except we, because we evolved from apes. We
In your
already
opinion, your opinion, you
that's
can believe.
already. I mean, I can point you to a website where you can go back
Sorry.
and trace humanity back to their ape ancestor.
Sure, you can make that assumption.
It's
You
not
can look at the
assumption, it's
evidence.
science.
So
It's
that
something
means
that you don't have when it comes to Adam and Eve.
Adam and Eve are special creations. It would be a category mistake for me to use empirical or science observations to confirm that. They were special creations of God.
Yeah,
Remember, He made them out of nothing.
for which you have no evidence other than your Bible, correct?
Which is we can demonstrate is
Is wrong.
historical and evidential,
It's
and
not.
gives us other proofs like predictive prophecy, for example.
Yeah,
Let's not all get
like
everything very
the city
complicated.
of Tyre that's still here. That you can
The
go on
ancient
on
Phoenician
Google
city?
Maps
No,
and take a walk through the city of Tyre. That
no, you
according to the
cannot.
Bible was destroyed and would
No,
never
cannot
rise
walk.
again.
You cannot walk through the ancient Phoenician city of Tyre. That's the city
Actually, the ruins of the ancient Phoenician city of
buried
Tyre
under the
have,
Mediterranean,
have been found in the city of Tyre.
Peter,
underneath the city of
Peter,
Tyre. They had to use
if I may interrupt,
radar. They had to use ground penetrating radar
if I may
to find
interrupt,
the
Hold
ancient
up.
ruins.
Go
Tyre
ahead,
needs no more.
MathPig. Jill, wait a second. Go ahead, MathPig.
Peter, I will point out something. Jill has already been, this argument has already been put forth to him by someone who has actually spent months of research doing it. He does not appreciate the person, and it's all been put forward to him in more detail with someone in a speciality in this. I'm not going to say that they are scholarly cleared and all, but they have a speciality in this and spent at least a month researching it, put the evidence to him, and he ignored it. So you are
Yeah.
wasting your
No,
breath.
no, I never ignored any evidence, but the evidence that was provided did not demonstrate that the city that Ezekiel was prophesying against
Timing was wrong.
still exists. That I need an archaeologist to show me and I haven't
Jill,
found one yet.
I just want to point. I'm going to say this one last statement, and then I'm going to
Yeah.
move away. The people that agree with your statement, I know that you on your critique of it was like, there's as many people saying the other side as there is this. There's not.
Yeah.
It's something like 6% agreeing with you and
Yeah.
94%
Show
agreeing
me.
with the other way.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Show me an archaeologist, and then I'll go over to your side or whatever percentage.
I'll do you one better. I do you one better, Jill. Show me scientific evidence of Adam and Eve.
Again, Adam and Eve were special creation, supernatural creation.
You keep claiming that, but what's your scientific evidence to back that claim up?
There is no scientific evidence for supernatural claims unless there is.
That flies a little in the face of you saying that God was evidenced in science.
Yeah, when
Even
Jesus
his creation, you can't find any scientific evidence for Adam and Eve.
You're making a category error. You've been making it all stream. It seems. When we say the Bible is
Just
historical,
because you say it doesn't mean it. I'm just going to point out, rather than just saying something and saying that he's
Show
doing
it.
it continually. Just
Yeah, that's what I'm
actually
doing.
point out.
That's what
No. You don't need. Okay, if you're going to do it, just do it.
Okay.
Don't constantly
So-
repeat that he's doing something and trying to make yourself seem. Just do
Okay.
it.
Well, the evidence that we're referring to are evidences of natural claims that are made in Scripture. So we don't expect to find evidence that Jesus walked on the water. We don't expect to find evidence that Jesus turned water or he changed the molecular structure of water into wine. We don't
Because
expect
that
to
has
find
been
that
explained.
evidence. That's a category error. That's what we call a category mistake.
Yeah, Jesus walking on water has been explained.
So he knew where the rocks were.
Sorry?
He knew where the big rocks were.
Do you know where Jesus walked on water?
Sure, there are
Actually, no one knows where Jesus walked on water. That's a speculation. It doesn't prove anything, and it's against the text, and it's not what the text means.
I'm not entirely sure. I have read some scholars that know the location of where that happened.
Speculate.
Well, okay, maybe it's speculation, but it's funny that the part where Jesus walked on water is the sea that is so shallow that at times it looks like people are walking on water.
But you could also say that Penn and Teller have done all the miracles of Jesus on stage, and you'd be right.
Hey, I did miracles on my show.
Right. Okay, so it doesn't prove anything to anyone, and thereby it's useless.
Yeah,
Well, I'm still waiting for Jesus is Lord. He makes the claim that Adam and Eve existed, and I want him to back up that claim. Oh, he left.
if you look at somewhere like the Black
Does he
Sea,
leave? Why did he
it's
leave?
quite
Where'd he go?
possible to walk on water.
Where'd he go? I just want to point out he got pushed. And he
Shit,
left.
my bad. Hold up. I forgot my mic wasn't down. I wanted to say I have Jill backstage. Sorry if my mic wasn't down. I was trying to get a hold of you. I'm like, wait a second, why are you talking to me?
We're having
Hold
a
up.
conversation.
Hold
We
up.
can't kick it now.
Bring it
Hold up,
back.
I'm saying I wanted to invite Call Me Sal in. That's all.
Okay.
That's all I want to do. I don't know who they are,
We
so
can hear in
that's
the
it.
background. Sounds great.
I
If you
can-
get him in and then
Hold up,
Jill
Call You Sal,
out,
you need to mute this stream.
if,
we can
if
hear
you're
a
gonna
feedback.
get him in and then kick Jill out, that's
No, I'm not kicking him out. I was gonna leave.
Okay.
That's it. Yeah, that's all I was gonna say. So, go ahead. Sorry to interrupt.
Just do it.
Self-production is a bitch.
Jill, tell me, what's your evidence that Adam and Eve existed?
Well, again, you want evidence. What kind of evidence do you need to find?
That's it. I'm not making the claim. You are making
Right,
the
but
claim.
what I'm asking for is
If you're making a claim, that means that you have evidence
Yeah.
and that you can back up the claim.
Sure,
So
sure.
I'm
What-
asking
All right,
you.
let me
what
say it
is-
like this. Let me say it like this, because what you're
Yeah.
doing is what a lot of skeptics do. They place requirements and
Yeah,
read
It
all
is
the
called
Bible that
burden
they don't
of
place
proof.
on anything else. So let me ask you this:
It is called.
What
Jill,
evidence
it is
do you
called-
have-
It is called
Yeah.
burden of proof.
Do you
And
believe-
the burden of proof rests
Sure,
on the
sure,
person
but
making the claim?
justice also requires equal application of your
We're
birth.
not talking about justice. We're talking
so
about.
let's see.
We're talking about
So
evidence
much
for
over
a claim.
talking.
Yeah,
So
let
much
me get
over
to that. Let
talking.
me get
So
to
much over talking. So much over talking. Gabble,
Yeah.
gabble, gabble. I'll
Sorry.
say let's give 3 minutes to Jill and then 3 minutes to Peter, in my opinion.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm watching the clock.
All right, let me respond to that because I think oftentimes when we have these discussions, we sort of place qualifications on the Bible that we do not place on any other text or any other. Uh, you would not you believe, I'm sure, that people like that lived in ancient times, like Caesar and Livy and Socrates and Homer, you believe that these people actually existed. Yet you can't empirically show me that they existed, other than a few extant writings that you could find, and you have no idea who actually wrote it or if these people actually existed. But yet you believe they existed. Yet you believe they existed. So perhaps you need to apply that same rigorous qualifications you apply to the Bible onto everything else, and then you'll find out that no one exists.
As a matter of fact, I do, and I'm delighted you brought this up.
What
The
evidence do you have, Homer?
the entire New Testament is written by anonymous writers. We have no originals. We have no clue where they came from. We have several documents, copies of what may have been the original, which contradict each other in smaller and bigger ways. So by your definition about Caesar, we can dismiss the entire New Testament. That's a win. Great.
We have no originals of any ancient text. We have no originals of any ancient text. So you're going to have to find another litmus
Don't
test
have
to
any
use
originals of any ancient text.
of any classical literature. No. Homer, Livy.
Have you heard of Egypt?
Okay.
Have you seen
What about
pictures?
Egypt? Pictures. Okay.
Have you heard of
hieroglyphics.
Babylon or
Have you
Samaria?
heard of
That's not a
hieroglyphs?
text. That's
Have you
not a
heard of
text.
hieroglyphs that were chiseled in stone?
Yeah,
Those are
Babylonians,
hieroglyphics. Those are
Sumerians,
not.
in stone. The
those are
actual
not
story,
text.
the actual story of the flood, is engraved in stone and is classified
Yeah, but
older
those
than
are not
any
text,
pages. Please, Jesus is Lord. Please let me finish. It has been proven in history, in studies, that the stones are older than the pages, and the stones were used to teach the ancestors of the people who wrote the Bible.
All right, I want you to pay attention to what you just did. I don't know if you realize this, but you just moved the goalpost again. You were talking about authorship. You were talking about text, and now you want to go to some
Okay.
writings on a stone. Did they sign their name on the stone? Who wrote those writings on the stone?
Let me remind
So
He's
you.
let's
trying to
go
make us
back.
they're
Let's
older
put
than
the
the Bible.
goalpost back in the stadium,
No,
and
your
let's
point.
get to what you were
You can say
talking
what you
about.
want.
This is the second time you've done this.
Say what you
Jill,
want.
let me remind you of the question that I asked.
Mm-hmm.
I asked you a question, what your evidence is that Adam and Eve existed. Then you went, sorry, this is my 3 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Then you went on a rant about how we can't prove that any other people in history existed. That's irrelevant to your claim.
Okay.
You
So
claim,
again,
no,
I'm
this is
showing.
still my 3 minutes. This is still my three
Okay.
minutes. You made the claim that Adam and Eve existed, and I asked you to back up that claim. That doesn't mean that you then have to disprove other claims that I didn't mention. I want you to back up this specific claim.
Sure. And
Just
again,
Adam and
Jill,
Eve,
sure, he has
don't
90
deflect.
seconds.
Don't
Okay.
deflect. Just keep it to Adam and Eve.
sure. And
Real
I'm
quick
showing.
announcement. Real quick announcement. This is gonna probably run for the next 15 to half an hour because the wife wants to watch a movie and eat some pie. So
Uh-oh.
just letting you know.
and I'm showing you how inconsistent your reasoning is, in that you accept.
Stop talking about inconsistencies and
What?
get.
Okay, so what evidence do you expect me to find for Adam and Eve? His slippers that he wore when he sipped on his,
I'm not
tea at tea time. What?
I'm not asking
What
you.
evidence? Listen carefully to the question. Then you can talk. Listen carefully.
Peter, Peter,
I'm
please
getting
let him.
clarification.
Please let him be. Please, Peter, please let him be an asshole and speak passively aggressively, and then
What?
you can retort him.
What exactly are you looking for, and as far as evidence is concerned, for Adam's historicity that you do also request for other contemporaries of history, past
Did I
2,000,
ask?
3,000 years?
Did I ask you to
I'm
provide
asking you for what.
evidence that I want, or did I ask you to provide me with the evidence?
Sure.
that you
Okay,
have?
great. So since you don't have a standard for evidence, I'm going to give you the evidence that I accept as reliable, and you
And
have to accept it. And you
for.
have to accept it. Then
That was
pay
what I was
attention. I hope
asking for.
everyone's paying attention now, because he doesn't want to give me a standard for historicity, because he realizes that that standard can't be applied to those historical.
I'm asking you.
Peter, let him.
already
Peter,
accepted.
Peter, let him finish his statement, and then
He's already put
He's got
himself
30
in a
seconds. He's got
bond
10
here.
seconds.
He's already put himself in a bond, because he knows that if he gives a criteria, he can't stay true to that criteria.
Okay, you're done.
Contemporaries
Okay,
of
Peter,
history that he
Peter,
accepts.
that was your 10 seconds. Peter, now if you want to do your wee bit, and
The Bible is.
I think we have sufficiently demonstrated that Jill doesn't have any evidence and doesn't want to present any evidence.
I just did. I
And
just gave you.
therefore, we
Jill,
can
shut up.
just claim that Adam and Eve actually existed.
I
It
just
is
gave you evidence.
that easy.
it's
the
pull
Bible.
backstage talk.
The Bible gives us evidence, gives us
The
different
Bible is the
Bible
claim.
claim.
authors, gives us different authors, over 40 different authors, and they all confirm the historical Adam. Well, not all of them.
Can I
but
make a
many
suggestion?
confirm the historical Adam.
Can I make
So
a
you have
suggestion?
no evidence.
Yeah, that is my evidence. I just told you.
No, you have 40 people making a claim.
Uh-huh.
I'm asking you for.
And that's a historical claim. That's historicity. Historicity doesn't have to include archaeology. Did you know that?
What?
Yes, it does, fool.
You don't have to dig up everything in order for it to be considered historical. Otherwise, we would not leave anyone his
But
history.
you would
We haven't
have
found
what
Homer's
you
staff.
need-
We haven't
what
found
you
Homer's
need
coat.
is more than just one book making a claim.
We haven't found.
All you have.
Do we even have Sherlock Holmes's eyeglass?
If you don't mind, Jill, Sherlock Holmes' existence does not rest souls in heaven or hell.
Yes, I
No,
understand.
and Sherlock Holmes
But we still-
Holmes didn't, and Sherlock Holmes never existed.
But
So
we
if
still
you
need to
I
be
think the guy,
honest in
I
our.
just to point out, the
Then-
guy that actually wrote
I
Sherlock
would,
Holmes.
I'd quite like to make a point here. I was lucky enough to see Sir Isaac Newton's first volume in the library at Trinity College, Cambridge. Just because you haven't seen that doesn't mean that doesn't exist, and that doesn't mean that whatever he said was true. I mean, we don't even know it's all true, but that's the point you seem to be making. If you haven't seen the evidence, it doesn't exist, but it does.
Yes, and that I'm not disputing that.
I think that's
What
a
I'm
bit
what I'm
simplistic.
asking for is Jill made a positive claim that Adam and Eve were real people, and I asked him to back up that claim, and that's what he cannot do.
Yeah.
So
And I'm asking you
what
for
he
the
does-
criteria. Give me the criteria in which I'm to use to back up my claim.
and saying what every Christian so far has told me, if I showed you the evidence, you wouldn't accept it. That to me is a clear sign of defeat. If you're not even willing to present the evidence, it's clear to me that you do not have.
Okay. Give me the criteria. Again, I'm asking this one more time. If you don't have it, then just say you don't have it.
I'm
That's
getting
the point.
criteria.
You don't have
if you have proof.
evidence if you don't want to.
Rory, wait, let me
Give me-
clarify.
Give me
Let
the
me clarify.
criteria. You're going.
Hold on a minute. Let me clarify. I am asking for the evidence that convinced you of the claim that Adam and Eve were real. I am not going to give you
But
criteria
you don't have any.
of which
No one has any
listen
criteria
to me.
to
Let
verify somebody that lived
Jill,
30,000.
Answer the question, Jill.
let me speak. I'm going to help you out here. Just let me speak.
Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
You are convinced of the claim.
Yes,
I'm
because of history.
asking
Yes.
you. Don't talk over me. I'm in teacher mode.
Okay.
You are convinced of the claim. I'm asking you of the evidence that convinced you of the claim.
Okay.
If I would then set criteria to your evidence, that would be dishonest.
No, it wouldn't, because it's the same criteria that you should set for all other figures of history,
No,
which
I'm
you don't.
asking
But
for
here's my
your,
evidence. Here's my
asking
evidence.
for your
Moderation.
I'm
criteria.
giving you that now. My evidence is historicity, and for someone that lived that far ago, that's all I'm going to require. I'm not going to require that we find any archaeological finds or digs showing us Adam, or an inscription written Adam and Eve were here, love Adam. You know, so the historical Adam, or the creation view, as John Walton puts it, they're real people confirmed by contemporaries, confirmed by writers that came after them, and we're persuaded that the biblical text is accurate because it's never been inaccurate. It's never been found to be historically inaccurate. So that's our evidence. Our evidence is Adam and Eve's historicity. Um, I don't know what evidence you require for someone who lived 40,000, 50,000, maybe 100,000 years ago. But
Okay, can I
yeah,
repeat that back to you
yeah,
and see if I heard that correct? What you are saying is that you believe that Adam and Eve were real people is because there were other people who believed that Adam and Eve were real people. Is that what you are saying?
yeah.
Like
For
Santa?
that, yeah, I don't require archaeological.
Yep, you're muted. We can't hear you.
I put him backstage so I could see what Richard was hurrying up. 'Cause he's holding up something, so I wanted to see
You were
what it was.
muted. We didn't hear what you said.
Yeah, I don't
Sorry, bro. I'll
consider.
get you back in a second.
Go ahead, Tog.
Uh,
I was.
my
Oh,
back in.
yeah, you're back in. I
Yeah,
was just
you're back
saying
in.
what.
Okay, yeah, I don't consider
Not.
archaeological finds to be a category of evidence that I would require for Adam and Eve. So
Why not?
simply because it's ridiculous to even suggest that we have that for someone who lived so long ago, but we don't
Okay,
have
let
that
me.
for anyone
Oh,
else.
okay. Let me ask you a question. Do you think that Adam and Eve are important in the whole creation event?
Oh, sure, they were the first man and the first woman.
Okay. Do you think that that there was a fall and that was because of Adam and Eve, and that is an ongoing thing today?
Yeah, Adam and Eve had sinned and fallen into perpetual um, sin, which ends in
Okay.
their
Okay.
death. Yeah,
Okay. So if Adam and Eve were that important, I'll ask you one more question.
we should find
If
their
if if Adam and Eve,
bones.
okay,
Go ahead.
no,
I'm sorry.
listen. I'm going to make this simple. If
I think you're
Adam,
just stretching credulity beyond its breaking
Oh,
point. But
seriously.
go ahead.
And look, just let the man finish what he's saying, please.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
He believes in Santa.
if Adam and Eve hadn't sinned, there wouldn't be a reason for Jesus, would there?
If Adam and Eve didn't sin, well, Jesus was already. There's always going to be a need for Jesus because he's the one who created us and he's the one who sustains us. He's the
Wait a
one
minute.
that was in the
Wait a
garden.
minute. Wait a minute. Wasn't the crucifixion of Jesus important?
Now you're
Because
asking a different question.
because oh, hold on, let me finish. wasn't that important because sin entered the world with Adam and Eve?
Right.
Wasn't that the entire purpose of Jesus, to save us from original sin?
Yeah, but your question was, what if they didn't sin? Then he would have existed.
Okay, I clarified. So we
Yeah.
agree on that. So Adam and Eve were important in the creation story. Adam and Eve were important because of the fall and original sin entering the world,
So,
which then led to the necessity of Jesus being crucified.
uh-huh.
That, wouldn't you say that Adam and Eve are pretty important in Christianity as a
Oh,
whole?
oh, very important. Yes.
Okay, if they are so incredibly important, then why wouldn't you require evidence
I
of the
just gave
fact
you
that,
my evidence.
no, you, what you said was, I don't need this
No, I
because
said I don't need
they are,
archaeological. Sir, there's different
well,
categories of evidence. I don't know if
okay,
you're aware.
let me tell you what I heard you say, and then you tell me if that's correct. Okay? Is
Okay.
that fair?
Something.
I don't want to misrepresent what you say. So I'm going to, uh, uh, in my own words, put it back to you. You say, uh, because they were historical, you do not have such a high standard of evidence. But on the other hand, you acknowledge how important they were to
Yeah.
Christianity. So
This,
wouldn't that alone
here.
require you to have a higher standard
Okay,
of
so now
evidence
right.
because of the importance
You're
of those
judging.
particular
Okay, so
people?
archaeological evidence you're saying is a higher evidence than historical evidence. Seems as though that's what your assertion is.
Well,
Okay,
I,
that's your opinion.
no,
It's fine.
listen. Okay, no, don't assume because you're going to get it wrong every single time. I'm I'm not saying archaeological evidence would have a higher standard. I would
Okay, then. So your my evidence is fine. Then
I would say there is no historical evidence. There's no archaeological evidence.
sure there
There
isn't.
is
They lived
no evidence
100 years,
at all.
100,000 years ago.
There is no evidence at all, except for the Bible and the Torah, who mention Adam and Eve.
All right. That's all we need.
Why is that all we need? Because
Because
that's the
that's all
claim.
we need for any ancient source.
No,
That's
that's
all
not
we
all we
have for
need
any
for any
ancient
ancient
source.
source. If
What
it
evidence
comes
do we have
to,
that
Hold
Livy?
on.
What
Hold on.
evidence
if
do we have that Livy existed, other than his
something
writings?
Something
we
to
have we have evidence of the Egyptian
What I
pharaohs.
didn't say the Egyptian
Carry
pharaohs.
on.
Oh my,
Listen
no.
carefully. What evidence do I'll give you somebody who lived thousands of years after the Egyptians. What evidence do we have that Livy existed other than his writing History of Rome?
Who?
Livy, who wrote History of Rome. What evidence do we have? What archaeological evidence do we have that he existed other than what we found in his extant manuscripts or his
Is
writings, which we don't
is
have the original to, by the way?
okay? Okay, can we go back to where we can see everyone, because this is kind of distracting.
Well,
I love you.
just want to say one thing. It appears that Mr. Demor's doctrine grew up with a slide rule rather than a calculator.
Alright, Tog, if you want to bring it back down to everyone, I'm just saying now he made me sort of mod to try and keep control of everything. I will do for the next 15 minutes, but after that,
Okay.
I am going to go to bed. So if Tog wants
Yeah,
to end it after that,
I'm going to propose soon myself.
yeah, Peter's an hour
Um,
ahead of me, and
I,
I
I,
know
I
it.
have one question to Jill. The person that you just referred to, I've never heard of the person you referred
Demolished
to.
doctrine is Richard.
Would you say that that particular person was as important to Christianity as Adam and Eve is?
I would say he was just as important to Rome as Adam and Eve would be to the Christian faith. Sure.
Jill has called Richard a heretic and also called him an atheist.
Yes, that is true. What are you drawing? A pentagram?
Yes, that looks exactly like a pentagram. How pentagramish
That
is
was
that?
that was beyond recognizable as an actual thought.
All right, well, I
I
guess we'll
think
have
it's
to wait until
probably
the finished
best.
product.
No, no,
It
no.
looks like
So-
the
No,
zodiac.
no, no. I'm God here. Remember.
So,
It's the
what
12
I-
apostles
in
and the
charge.
tribes of
Please,
Levi.
please, please, please.
Mathpig.
I think it's
What
time
I've
we write
learned today is that people in ancient Rome are as important as Adam and Eve.
To
And
their religion, yes.
Jill,
To
shut
their
up.
society, yeah.
Jill, shut up. He asked to say one thing. Let him finish, and then you can have your bit.
Okay.
We'll work our way around. We're winding down. You can say your piece. Let the man say his bit. Peter.
it's the first time I hear a Christian say that someone who lived in ancient Rome, to him, is as important as Adam and Eve.
Never
And
said that.
I think when we keep it at that, that makes us very clear of how important the Bible actually is. It's not important at all.
Thank you, Peter.
Never made that claim, but okay. Perhaps that's the way you
You made
feel.
that claim.
No, never made that claim. You're really
You
good, man.
equated-
You,
No,
you
Peter,
equated
Peter,
CNN
you're
with
bit.
the
Let
guy
him
from
straw
Rome.
man you. Just let
Do you
him
work-
straw man you. Just let
do
him
you
do
work
that.
with CNN?
Peter,
You
no, Jill,
equated the guy from Rome with
please.
Adam and Eve.
You're pretty
That makes
good
me
at this,
cool.
man.
Well,
That makes
you know, if it wasn't for Rome, very
Tog,
unlikely
end it.
to have
Just end it,
Christianity.
Tog. Just end it. Nobody is
let him
abiding by
talk.
the rules. Jill mainly is not even letting me step in to give him fucking time. So just
Let him let him go. Let him talk. He's just gonna dig himself in a bigger ditch.
Jill, I was actually trying to get you time.
No, let him go. I mean, I'm interested to hear how he is going to defend this.
Yeah, I'm interested to see if sometime when I jump onto your channel in the next week or two that you give me the same respect that I've give you tonight. So I'd be interested to see that.
Oh yeah, you're
Tell-
certainly. You've never been on my channel before, but you
I have been on
certainly
your
will.
channel 3 times and you have never let me actually speak more than 3 minutes. So let's see
Oh.
how it goes tonight. In the next future after tonight.
Perhaps
Tog,
you won't
close it
exist
down.
in
Just close it
2,000
down,
years
Tog.
either, MathPig.
so just to recap, Jill.
Yeah.
You don't have any evidence, and you don't think that
No, I have plenty of
evidence-
evidence. You don't accept my evidence because it's not Adam and Eve's fingernail.
I don't. There is no evidence to accept.
What evidence
keep-
would you have for someone who lived 100,000 years ago? Can you answer that?
Okay,
What physical evidence?
Mummifications. How about a
okay,
mummy? How about a mummy?
I'll give you one thing, and maybe you can do something with that. Can you give me any evidence outside of the Bible and the Torah that points to Adam and Eve? Anything?
What do you mean by the Bible? The Bible is 66 books written by 40 different authors.
What
So you
part of
have
my
40.
question? What part of my question?
I'm
that
showing
I-
your ignorance of what the Bible is.
The
So-
Bible is the Bible.
The Bible is
the
not one
claim.
book written by one author, but it's 40 different
And
adaptations.
it is still
the-
just the claim. What
It's
I'm
not
asking
one
you,
claim, sir. It's
What
many
I'm
claims.
asking you
Uh-huh.
is, can you give me anything outside of the Bible and the Torah?
That is completely racist, and I'll explain why. The
It's
Bible,
racist.
yeah, and I'll explain why.
Jill,
So
Jill,
you're-
this just sounds like avoiding the question. You're not making
No,
yourself
I'm
look good,
explaining
man.
why I'm saying that is completely racist in
It
your
is
opinion.
avoiding the
Oh,
question.
come on, come on,
Because
come on, come
you
on.
would
Jill has
never
no
ask,
argument.
you would
Uh,
never. Can I
St.
explain myself? Thank
Well,
you.
no,
No.
St. Peter's
You would
finger
never make.
was sold all over Europe. You know, and it was obviously a fake finger of St. Peter.
All
But
right.
a lot of people believe.
Okay, so I won't get a chance
in
to.
Europe, we have
Right.
9 foreskins of Jesus. So
Good for you. Let me show you why you're a racist. You would never make that claim if it were 40 different authors of Rome making a historical claim like Adam and Eve.
I would make
But because
I would make the same claim.
or excuse me,
And-
not
and-
40
and
not
just
40 different
clarify-
authors.
That
Not
has nothing to do. That has nothing to do.
40 different authors written over a span of
Nothing to do.
1,400
That has
years,
nothing to do
and
with.
you want to say the Bible. But if Rome and Greece,
I know you can't. I know
Scotland,
you can't come
if
up with a
Rome,
decent.
hold
with a
on.
Hey, Jill.
with
Hey,
a
Jill.
decent- I know
If
you can't come up
if
with a
Rome
decent
and Greece,
definition of God, but the fact that you can't come up with a decent definition of racism, I
All
think that's
all right,
kind of neat.
I'm showing you how you're
You
racist.
can't explain anything, Jill.
If Rome,
You can't
if
speak. You
Rome,
can't explain
What's a
anything. You're a
race?
troll.
if Rome and
You
Greece,
can't speak, dude. You can't speak.
oh, can you be quiet, sir? Thank you.
No, I can't.
Can you be quiet for a second?
No, I can't.
Oh, yeah?
See, you don't like being interrupted, do you? You don't like being interrupted.
Okay.
You seem to not understand what it's like to let people speak. So I'm
Okay.
showing you what it's like,
All
so you
right.
can have an example. See, that's an example. That's
Cookie
proof
Monster, right?
of,
That's
of,
perfect.
of,
Fits your age.
of
Fits your
evidence.
character.
That's
All right.
evidence.
So,
You know.
if France,
No. See, you don't get to explain it. You need to answer questions properly before you go
I
on
need
to
to
your
answer
rant and your
questions
idiocy. So
Okay.
come on, answer your questions because I'm
what question you
won't
want
let
me to
continue.
answer? What question you want me to answer?
The one that you were asked.
Okay, that's what I'm doing now. If
No,
France,
you're not.
Are you deflecting again?
no, I'm not deflecting. I'm showing you how you're racist.
No, you're not.
No, you're not. You're talking to someone else who I can't hear. But that's
Okay.
okay.
Yeah, I can't hear him either. If France
So see, now I'm going
and
to interrupt you
Germany
again because I don't feel like letting you
and
talk.
Britain
So you have nothing to
and
say.
all
'Cause
these
all you
other
do is
countries,
rant and talk shit because you're the Lord of the Flies.
Gentlemen, I'd like to say peace and respect and have a good night. And call me Sal. It was good to see you as well. Peter, I hope you'll contact me. And Jesus is Lord. I expect to see you Sunday evening. Good night,
I'll see
everyone.
you Sunday. Hey,
Good night, Richard.
if you guys want to have this conversation somewhere else where we don't have Cookie Monster behaving like a child and we can have a conversation, my channel is
No,
always
that's
open.
no conversation.
Call me Sal. You want a piece of Jill? Then you'll get your opportunity.
Oh yeah.
You'll fail like all the rest.
Yeah,
Just wait your
yeah.
turn.
Can you
wait
finally,
your turn.
can you finally get to making your point instead of constantly
Wait
deflecting
your
and
turn.
attacking other people?
Just
You'll get a
hold
shot
on.
at the king.
Calm
You'll
down
get your
a
shot at the king.
minute.
Call
Calm
me.
down. Come
Yeah.
on.
Oh, so you're the king.
Not the
Blasphemous
king
idiot.
of kings, but yeah.
Nah, yes, you just call
Jill,
yourself.
I've been quiet for a long time.
What's up?
You've done everything except explain how it's racist.
I'm
you've
trying
made,
to, but call me Sal keeps cutting me off. This one guy, can you put this guy in timeout or something? He needs it.
No.
No, well, he hasn't spoken at all. Actually, he's been pretty quiet, so I figured I'd let him go.
Call
Why
me Sal.
not?
I haven't heard a peep
All
from
right,
him.
guys. You
so
guys
I'm
I
not
have
gonna
a
lie.
beautiful evening. Todd, I'm gonna email you. I got something for you. I'm prepping it up. It's just not worth letting
So,
Jill speak.
Jill.
It's just,
Yeah, I know. He
Have a
doesn't
good
want me
night,
to
guys.
speak. So Roy, when you get a chance, come visit my channel and we'll have this. Oh, he
Good
left.
night.
Okay, good.
Thank you for that. But
Okay.
Come on, we've got to have a decent debate or argument
Now
discussion.
I don't mean to call you.
Hey, don't interrupt him, Jim.
See, now you're interrupting me, and therefore,
Rory, let Jill talk.
therefore, we have to let other people speak.
Let Jill talk.
All right,
Wait
now
for racism.
when I said that, I don't necessarily mean you per se, but nowadays you can be a racist just by simply being white. And what the argument is that you were raised in a Eurocentric society where everything is centered around Europe and Rome, and if Rome didn't write it, it didn't happen. Okay, if I were to tell you that France, Rome, Germany, all of these different countries. Hold on. I'm almost done. I'm almost done.
No,
Give me
because
5 seconds.
I'm not letting you get away with this. What research did you do on me on how I was raised?
I'm telling you, what you're espousing to me fits the profile of someone who was raised in a Eurocentric, because if I told, all right, let me ask you this question, and then you'll be able to determine a little bit more how far in this hole I believe you are.
No.
If it were France,
Switzerland and France and Germany and where
and
you were
Rome,
going,
right? All of those people,
fascinating.
40 different countries writing over a span of 1400 years that said someone existed, you would accept that as historicity. But when it comes to Palestinians writing, you don't want to accept that as historicity. My question to you is why?
Uh,
Why do you call that the Bible? But if
because
it were
okay,
the
I'll
Europeans
answer your
that were to
question.
do that, you would not say
I'll
it's
answer your question
okay.
if
Go
you
ahead.
let me answer your question. If I have um, books from several countries, from several cultures,
Right.
talking about the same thing, then I'm not saying that's 100% evidence, because it isn't. Because they could all be talking about a fictional character, but it would get me somewhere. This is why I asked you. The Bible, the Bible is one book.
No, it's
You
not.
will say, you
I
will
just
say
demonstrated it's
66.
not.
Okay, hold on. I wasn't finished. You will say it's 66 books. I'll grant you that. It's 66 books.
That's what it is. You
Still,
don't need.
it's still a continuous story. The
Miraculous.
people,
Yeah.
the people who wrote those books had access to what was written before and could build off of that. Then
Uh-huh.
all it was
Let- let
all
me-
compiled. It was all compiled into one Bible.
Okay.
What
And
I'm asking you is, show me a writing of someone who wasn't involved in writing the Bible or the Torah.
well, there are people in the Bible who did not in the New Testament and the Old Testament who are independent of each other. So you can't make that argument that they were all sitting in the same room.
Did the people
All
from the
of each
New
other.
Testament Okay, did the people from the New Testament have access to the Old
That
Testament?
is how history is passed down, sir. If
That's
9/11
that's not
happened
my
in
question. That's
2000,
not my question. That's not my question. So stop deflecting.
that
Did
is
the
your
people
question. That's an
did
answer to
the
your question.
people of the New Testament have access to the Old Testament?
Yes, the people of the New Testament had access to history, just like you will have access to history 2,000 years from now about 9/11, because someone passed that history down to you, your ancestors. That's how
Okay.
it works, sir.
From
That is
nine
evidence.
eleven,
That
from
is
nine
called
eleven,
evidence.
from 9/11 we have accounts from all over the world,
Good.
from people who witnessed it.
And we have accounts from all over the world from people who have creation stories, as well
Yes,
as the
and they
as well
all
as the 40
disagree,
different
and they
authors.
all disagree with the Bible.
They all disagree, right? But they all agree that there was a creation, a creator. We have 5 different civilizations.
Yeah,
In
do you know the Egyptian creation story?
I'm somewhat familiar with it. Yeah.
Okay, how did the universe arise? Tell me.
Again, what that's irrelevant to the fact that there,
You
like,
just said they have the same story,
I never
so I
said they
just
had the
want to check.
same
I
story.
just
I
want
never
to check
said
if
that.
you know. I
I
just
never
want
said
to
they
check.
had the same story. I said they have a
They have a
creation
creation.
story.
They have a creation story.
Right.
You said,
Right. That's not the same story.
and you're bringing this up as evidence for Adam and Eve. So I'm asking you
I'm bringing up as
questionably,
history, as evidence, historical evidence.
yes. How?
That's all we can have for someone who lived that long ago.
What's the Egyptian creation story that
Uh,
you claim
Again, why is this relevant?
is similar to the Bible's?
Never said it was similar. I said
Oh,
it's a creation story. We have flood
so
accounts that are not the same,
so now
but
you're
they have
equating.
a common
Okay, hold on.
theme.
Now you are now equating all creation stories,
No, never said that.
which renders your Bible completely irrelevant.
Never equal.
To
What do you mean by equate? All right, so here's what you need to do in order to prove that Adam and Eve
I
didn't
asked you
exist.
for evidence. I asked you for
I
evidence for
just gave
Adam
you
and Eve.
evidence.
You bring up
Matthew,
racism. You
Mark,
bring
Luke,
up other
John.
creation stories. And when I then ask you to just name me one, just tell me what happened in that particular creation story,
Why is that relevant?
you have no clue whatsoever.
Why is that
Well,
relevant?
hold on. There are gospels um, written, at the time of the other gospels that were rejected by the church because they didn't think they were accurate enough.
Yes,
Yeah.
and those gospels are referred to in the Bible.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
That's
some
another.
So the Bible refers to books
So
that, according to the Bible, are not God's
All
word.
right. Like I said, guys, I said I had to end this stream soon, so why don't you guys go ahead and final say a goodbye or whatever, because I gotta get going. So go ahead. Starting with you, Peter.
This one guy, this might be the perfect moment to do that because we're not getting anywhere.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's kind of getting nowhere. So anyway,
yeah, maybe
but yeah,
Yeah.
I'll open up my channel if you
I
guys
mean,
want to come over.
isn't there a
Well,
gospel according
it's 6
to
a.m. here, and I'm going to
right?
have Jesus on my show later, so I'm going to catch a little bit of sleep because he's a little bit more important than anything that we've discussed so far.
Okay. Yeah, and when you say creation myth, remember there's more than one. So keep that in
Yeah,
mind. Yeah. So
and the Bible is one of them.
well, I mean, Egyptian is more than one Egyptian creation myth.
there's
There's
two
one.
Egypts
There's
technically,
one.
but yeah.
There's one.
So
All right,
One guy.
guys.
all right.
I'm
So
gonna end it. So everyone say goodbye.
thanks, Tog.
Hey,
You're welcome.
this one guy. Thanks for hosting this. This was a lot of fun.
Oh no, you're
Uh,
welcome. I did it for MathPig and
I
for
would have
Richard.
missed it for the world. I don't know if MathPig's still around or did he
He
leave.
is. He's still
It's
there.
not.
Yeah,
It's nice to meet you all.
I've been
Math
hiding
Pig,
in the I've been
Hour.
hiding in the background.
thanks for dragging me along on 3 channels for all of this. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, wasn't it?
Oh, you guys went stream hopping. Nice.
Yeah, no, it's good. Get everybody about, get everybody some love, and yeah, I've been hiding in the background, secretly texting Tog, going, "Would you fucking moderate this, you bitch?"
I saw that. I saw that. You said end this stream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'll let it
people
go.
mention certain things.
To me, this is my equivalent of fun. I
Yeah,
mean,
no,
this
me too,
this is
Peter.
what keeps me going. This
Yeah,
is
me
so
too.
much
I'm
fun.
so gonna get fucking
Yeah,
bodied.
me too.
And for the record, people like Jesus is Lord, those would be my preferred guests on my own channel
If they ever turn up. That's all I'm gonna say.
if they turn up.
Well, he's going to be in Richards tomorrow. Jill, this is the first time I've spoke to you since the incident. I will now not refer to you as the person who shall not be named. You may get some sort of notoriety. But anyway, at the end of the day...
All right, guys.
The only problem, MathPig, is we'll never thrash this out. It'll go on forever.
Tug, the only thing I ask is make sure MathPig's in the fucking tags, alright? Make sure it's in the tags.
I'll put blame master in the
Do you
tag.
mind if I mirror this?
Oh, MathPig, a little fun thing. While we were talking about Johnny Drive-By responded on someone else's channel referring to you, which is also kind of cool.
About what? What did I do wrong?
All right, guys, I'm gonna end it. Just letting you know. Bye, stream. Bye, everybody.
All right.
Peter,
Come over to my
Bye.
channel, late night chat, if you want to have a
Good
talk.
morning, I should say.
send me a tweeter.
It's on Heretics channel.
Don't
Vax for Trump.
Don't make me look for a whole fucking like an hour-long stream for 30
Ah,
seconds.
hold on,
Just
hold
was
on.
fun.
Let me have a look real quick.
All right, guys. You guys have fun. I'm
record
gonna
it
get the
and
hell
tweet
out
it
of
to
here.
me. Yeah,
Night, guys. I gotta work in the morning.
Tweet it to me. Tweet it to me. Oh no, he's just left.
Yeah, I'm just
We know we
it's on my channel on the Heretic intro where you commented.
Oh, perfect. Right. Well, on that note, I'm gonna go to bed because my 3-year-old's gonna get up in about 5 hours and start jumping on top of me. So,
Me too. I have to make sure I'm there for Jesus tomorrow.
well, from one Jesus to
Maybe
another,
as evidence of Adam and Eve.
from one Jesus to another. Thank you all for having me, Peter. I look forward to your interview. It's gonna be a lot of fun, and yeah, I'll put you on the after party list, man.
Okay. Catch you later.
Talk to you all later.
Okay, Rory.
Yes, hi, how are you doing?
It was really nice to meet you, and we should have a talk sometime.
Well, no, absolutely, especially